What happens when you buy a meth house and you didn't know that it was a meth house? Well, stick around to the end of this video while we show you how we took care of this flippin' nightmare.
All right, so we found this house. It was actually a wholesaler that brought this thing to us, and we ran the numbers, looked good. I mean, you had negotiated with him, right? We did a little bit of due diligence. The tough thing about wholesalers is they don't give you a whole lot of time to get in and do our standard scope of due diligence.
They used to. This was before the market changed and it got crazy. I mean, then they didn't have to, where it was like, do you want it or not?
But when we bought this house, it was right in the middle of the frenzy. So, I mean, they didn't have to let us do due diligence. It was, hey, if you're not gonna buy it, somebody else will, right? So we needed a house. We had just sold one. We had some capital that was just sitting there waiting to be deployed. Robert Kiyosaki always says, money in motion is an asset, money at rest is a liability. We needed to put that money to work. Absolutely. So we needed a house. And we did a little bit of due diligence on it.
Oh, for sure.
But not our standard scope, which always includes a meth test, among other things. Now, we got into this house and...
It's a meth house. Let's just put it that way. It was an absolute nightmare of a meth house. The worst meth house I've ever seen. They straight up were cooking meth in this house, not just smoking it or, having parties, which is what we normally find. I mean, we've picked up meth houses before. This was a straight up chemical compound.
Yeah, it was crazy. Now, we've done meth houses in the past, like Maylee said. But if someone smoked meth in the house, whether it be once or multiple times, usually it just requires a process where we go in and apply a hydrogen peroxide to the walls. Now, this is not stuff you can buy over the counter. This is like, that 1% concentrate stuff that you get at the pharmacy. This is like 99% concentrate. It literally melts the paint off the walls. However, we think this was a lab because...
For sure. It had to have been.
We ended up having to tear the sheetrock off the walls and throw it away in order to get the city to allow us to continue the process of cleaning this thing up. Now, we did, and the nice thing is this process, the process of cleaning up a meth house, is regulated by the government.
Absolutely.
The county health department comes in and does a 100-point inspection, and by the time we're done cleaning up a meth house, it's cleaner than your house is. It has less meth in it than your house does, even if you don't smoke meth. So, it's absolutely clean.
But we had to rip out the entire furnace, plus all the AC, anything that had anything to do with the furnace, all the ducts, everything had to go away. So there was nothing left in this house but literally 2x4s.
It was bones, yeah.
That was it.
It was bones.
It was 2x4s. We even had to redo the entire siding of the house.
Which wasn't necessarily in the budget. Now, luckily it was a small house, but we didn't budget having to re-sheetrock this entire house.
The only caveat I will say to this is doing all new electrical and all new plumbing was easy because there was
That thing's a brand new house.
It's a brand new house.
I mean, it even has new siding on the outside. So the only thing that's the same in this house at this point is the 2x4s, like the studs.
And the roof.
The studs are the same. That's it. Everything else, it's a brand new house.
Huh?
So we finally got this thing cleaned up after a few months of messing around with it.
Months.
And you have to have certified professionals clean it. So, that service comes at a premium. It's not cheap to bring in someone who has to go to school to learn how to fix this stuff.
We did get the certificate.
From the county.
From the county
health department.
Saying it's 100% clean, right? No more gas masks and all the hazmat suits having to come into the house anymore. We couldn't even go in there.
Until it's passed off by the city, only licensed individuals can go in the house. It's quarantined as a biohazard. But we did get it all cleaned up, and we can officially say this house is clean. How about that boat?
How about that boat?
How about that boat? How about that boat?
The boat. I talked about this in the last Flipping Nightmare. If I ever
No, the last one was a car. There's always some registered vehicle that we don't have the title to that we have to figure out how to get rid of. I don't know. It's what's funny is we bought those houses on the same day. We inherited a car and a boat. We could have started a vacation business.
I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it.
We had better luck with the car though. Like we had better luck getting rid of the car than we did the boat.
Yeah, what happened?
Because the car, we had to just go do a bunch of paperwork at the DMV. It took forever, but finally they transferred the title into our name so that we could donate it.
What happened to the boat?
The boat, we could never get into our name.
So we just parked it on the side of the road?
So we parked it on the street and left it there till they towed it. That's what happened. We parked it illegally on the street so that they would tow it, and then we just never went and claimed it.
Well, it's not ours. How can we claim it?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we tried to sell it, right? We made KSL ads, and we put it on all sorts of like Craigslist and different things to say, hey, come pick up a free boat. Because
Free
it
boat.
was super cool.
Free stolen boat. It's yours.
Yeah,
You don't get a title. You just get the boat. Does not include title.
What do they do with it after they tow it?
Probably went boating.
Oh my gosh, no.
Fishing trip. They need to start up boats for kidneys.
Oh my gosh.
Or kidney boats.
So yeah, the boat was a nightmare. The hot tub.
And can I get a hot tub?
The hot tub was a nightmare because it was super stinky, and we just had to end up taking, because what did they do? Just cut it in half, like in a bunch of pieces? And
Yeah,
then-
well, it was like, I mean, that water was like,
Oh yeah.
I think there was human fecal matter in that hot tub. Like, it was nasty. And so our workers had to drain it and then cut it up into little pieces so that we could dispose of it. So that was fun. But I think the most fun thing was the 50-gallon barrels of chemicals that we didn't know what they were. We just had a couple of 50-gallon barrels of chemicals. We thought, well, because of the meth house thing, like maybe it's meth chemical ingredients. We don't know the recipe for meth, so we didn't know, right? But turns out we had to pay. I mean, it was expensive. It was like $500 to get a chemist out to test it to see what it was. Turns out it was printer's ink.
Was it really?
It was printer's ink. Yeah, that's all it was. Printer's ink. Who knows why they had they had 100 gallons of printer's ink. Now, luckily, by month 8, we were almost done with the project. I mean, sheetrock was up. They'd done the mudding. I think painting was in there.
Yep.
We just had cabinets and granite and flooring left. But then we got it on the market, and what happened there?
Well, interest rates decided to, go bing. And because of that, it just created a stall. And a lot of different price points honestly didn't get hit too hard at this time, but it was a good 3-week stall. So I had listed Commonwealth, and it honestly was like 4 days before I listed Commonwealth that the interest rates went up. And so, it definitely, at least in Utah, northern Utah, it hit like a full-on stall for 3 weeks. Nothing sold. I mean, I think a total of 200 houses sold in all of Utah in those 3 weeks. Like, that's crazy, right?
People friggin' out.
Oh, people were friggin' out.
5% interest, which is what it was in 2019.
Yeah, it's silly, right? But
We
whatever.
got spoiled for a while.
I know. So, yeah, I just sat there and sat there and sat there, and that price point, so I listed it for $710,000. That price point from like $650 to about $800,000 has been hit really hard in this process. Anyway, it became a total nightmare, and it sat for almost 3 months. And just crickets. I've never seen anything like it. Even in a normal market, I've never seen something just sit for 3 months without any showings. We had no showings on this property. It was the weirdest. We had an incredible open house, but for whatever reason, it just, people didn't go see it. It was weird. It was a super weird thing. So then we turned it into a nightly rental.
Yes, we did. Short-term rentals. They're an amazing exit strategy for flips, and sometimes we have to use it. And guess what? Great news is, even though we decided to use one of our parachutes on this, we still are going to make money. It's going to be between $30,000 and $50,000 a year in cash flow that we'll make off of this cute little house that you designed. So
Thank you.
I think it's going to be incredible. Didn't necessarily work as a flip simply because of timing in the market. But you know what? We're going to make some money on it now. We'll enjoy some appreciation over the next couple of years. And when it makes sense, when there's profit in it, we'll sell it. We'll make our profit, and the equity partners will get paid out. We'll get paid out.
Yeah.
I love real estate.
I know.
Here's the key. Time heals all in real estate. People get nervous. They think they've failed, and they sell a house at a loss. You only lose money when you actually sell it, when you actualize the loss. The secret is have exit strategies. Figure out before you even buy it, If you need to hold on to this property for longer, what's your plan? How are you going to do it? If that's solid and in place, it mitigates a huge amount of the risk, a mountain worth of risk in fixing and flipping. There's still risks, obviously.
Sure.
But it removes a lot of them.
Yeah, and we have an entire education course. We're not going to dive in on nightly rentals because we have an entire education course, for nightly rentals. And then the next episode that we'll be dropping next week is Flippin' Designs and teaching you how to design a nightly rental.
I think as much of a nightmare as this property was, because of our education, because of our knowledge, we were able to turn this nightmare into a slam dunk. Well guys, that's all we have for you in this episode of Flippin' Nightmares. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you're notified next time we release an episode of Flippin' Nightmares, Flippin' Designs, Flippin' Before and After, or Flippin' Education. We'd love to have you back. Also, if you're so inclined, please give the video a like. It's an easy and free way to support the channel and what we do here. Be sure to stay tuned because we'll be coming back at you with some amazing content. And until then, we'll see you on the flip side.